Story 1. JNMIL picked my cherries because I hadn't done it yet. I was at work. I've calmed down since, but I'll admit, I was so angry that I cried that day. We live on an acreage, and over the past few years, one of my proudest accomplishments has been planting long-term crops, especially fruiting varieties, berries, and harvestables like rhubarb and sunflowers. I take care of my trees, pruning them each season and doing my best to deal with pests when needed. It's a meditative process for me. Growing up in the city, I always dreamed of reaching this point, and it's something that helps me manage my anxiety and depression. I even talk to my trees and plants. It feels grounding in a way. This year, my cherry trees were doing wonderfully. The fruit was huge, and I had netting up to protect them from birds. No major pests, and I watered them carefully during the dry spells in June when other plants were wilting. They were thriving, and I was so proud of them. I planned everything for the weekend. Got my ladder, my buckets, my canning equipment out and sterilized, and my freezer bags ready. I set aside the whole day on Saturday to pick and process the cherries, and Sunday as a backup, just in case I underestimated how long it would take. Work had been stressful all week, and I even had an anxiety attack at the office. Things were rough, but I was really looking forward to my cherry harvest. So, on Friday, I woke up early, checked my cherries, and was excited for the day ahead. I couldn't wait to start. I pulled into the driveway and told my husband I was going to throw together a quick dinner and then head out to pick cherries. He says, "Sound good." Oh, and Mom stopped by earlier and grabbed some cherries too. My stomach immediately nodded. These cherries were my reward for all the hard work I'd put in. The years of pruning, tending, and nurturing. My pride. I went outside and my heart sank. The nets were still in place, but all the cherries were picked, every single one within my reach on all 4 trees. My trees were bare except for the very top, where I couldn't even reach. I burst into tears. I threw my bucket in frustration, like a child having a tantrum. Those cherries were mine. I went inside and my husband asked what was wrong. I told him my cherries were gone. His parents had taken them. He immediately called them and put them on speaker. Their response? Well, they were ripe and ready to be picked. Since Negbar hadn't done it yet, we assumed she didn't want them. Oh, right. Because I put up the bird netting for fun. Because I had a ladder out just for decoration. Because I had buckets ready for no reason at all. The kicker? They have their own cherry trees, apple trees, and fruit bushes. While I pointed this out, they said their cherries hadn't come in well this year. No surprise. Their trees have had a fungus for years that I've been telling them to deal with, but they refuse to prune them. So, naturally, he just decided to take my cherries. JustNoMil had already frozen most of them, given some away to friends, and made various canning recipes with the rest. I managed to salvage what I could and ended up with just a single ice cream pail's worth of cherries from my 4 trees. I can't even describe how gutted I felt. I cried again as I put away all my canning equipment, realizing I wouldn't need it after all. I looked forward to this moment for so long, and it was taken from me. It's not just about the cherries. It's the heartbreak of having something I worked so hard for and loved, only to have it snatched away by people who didn't respect that. Edit. To add some context, my husband thought his parents were asking for a small amount, like a bowl or a small bucket of cherries. You know, the usual. They stopped by before he had to go to work, and neither of us was home while they were picking. He texted me this morning to tell me he's going over there after work to deal with this for me. I'll keep you posted. Comment 1. I really feel your pain on this. You have my sympathies, OP, and anger and heartbreak. Having depression and anxiety makes it so damn hard to do things, much less find something in your life that gives you joy, something to look forward to doing. You had found that something, and someone stepped in and destroyed it. I have been there, and it can be hard to explain it to others, but I know the utter gutted feeling it leaves, and everything going back to being pointless, meaningless, and the depression settles back in. From my experience, all I can say, stick with your something. I know it may not feel like yours or pointless or whatever, but it is. They are your trees, your joy, your something. It helped me by planting more. Fruits, nuts, vegetables, and making it abundantly clear to anyone and everyone what they mean to me and the hell that would be paid for sabotaging my path to mental health and happiness. Hang in there, Opie. Comment 2. This sounds like a well-planned theft/power move. Considering all the cherries she took, she would have had to bring a lot of containers. It would have taken considerable time to pick all those cherries as well. So she needed to be there while you were out all day. And how did she use or give away all those cherries within just a few hours of picking them? This was no misunderstanding. I think it is likely she did it on purpose to hurt you. I hope your husband understands how serious a violation this is. Story 2. Update. JNMIL picked my cherries because I hadn't done it yet. I was at work. I honestly never expected the overwhelming support my post about crying over stolen cherries would get. When I wrote it, I was beyond angry, livid, even, and in a moment of frustration, I let it all out. By the end of the day, after talking to so many of you, I felt so much better. You all made me feel heard, validated, and sane. Apparently, it's okay to cry over stolen cherries. The outpouring of support was incredible, and I never expected so many people to have my back. It gave me the confidence boost I needed to actually deal with the situation. Thank you to everyone who left kind words, sent hugs, and sent direct messages with reassurance and support. You all helped me move past my anger and focus on solving this problem. So, I guess an update is in order. First things first, we need a proper nickname for JNMIL. It came down to a close race between cherry-stealing whore and Locust. In the end, I've decided to go with Locust. Big thanks to you, /Elvozarita for the suggestion. Because let's face it, she's a cherry-stealing whore. My husband went over to his parents' house last night after work to talk to them, and I stayed home. I knew if I went with him, things would get murky, and we'd both end up gaslit by Locust. When it's just them and their son, they tend to take things a little more seriously. A while later, my husband called me and asked me to come over. At first, I refused, but then I realized maybe he needed backup and couldn't ask for it directly. So, I threw on some shoes, grabbed my keys, letting them know I was ready to leave at a moment's notice, and went over to the Nils. Of course, Locust was nowhere to be found. Hubby was sitting at the kitchen table with his dad, and I decided to stand by the counter instead of sitting. FIL, I should have called you first, Negbar. I thought Locust had talked to you. With work and how busy you've been, I figured you didn't have time to harvest your trees. Me? Okay, here's the issue with that. Why would I have my ladders, buckets, and nets out if I wasn't planning on picking my cherries? FIL, I thought you'd asked Locust for help. I just laughed. Like, seriously, I laughed out loud. Me? When have I ever asked for help? FIL? Especially from Locust? You know I'm stubborn and independent. I've never asked for help with my harvests. I don't even ask for help when I'm chopping wood or hauling rocks or building my greenhouse. And even if I'd asked, why did you guys take everything home? Why didn't you leave any for me? FIL, well, I brought a couple buckets back and was going to clean and pit them for you. I was going to drop them off later. Me, so why did your friends end up taking buckets home then? FIL, not my friends. That was all Locust. I had to run errands in town, and when I came back, everything was packed up or gone. I only found out she gave some away after I got back. Me, where's Locust anyway? FIL, she went to pick up some groceries. Me, sure. Me, look, I'm still really upset about this. One phone call. That's all it would have taken. You know how Locust does this. She messes things up all the time. You and I both know this. FIL, I messed up this time. I really thought we were going to pick a bunch and get them back to you. That's why I was rushing to clean up the first batch while Locust was still picking. Me, can I get my cherries now? FIL, absolutely. Take all the cherries in the freezer. They're cleaned and pitted. There's some jam down there, and maybe some other stuff too. I'll grab a box, and we'll get you some pickles, carrots, and eggs. I'm sorry this all went wrong. I've already talked to Locust about it, and I promise this won't happen again. So, we loaded up my car with cherries, jams, and pickle goodies. I left behind some of the super runny jam and the weird mixed berry stuff. She can have those. I took the pickled eggs, spicy pickles, and a couple of big jars of pickled carrots. While we were loading up the car, I also mentioned my extra canning equipment. I asked FIL about his apples, and he said he'd pick whatever was ready and leave them on the deck for me to grab after work sometime this week. He promised to call me when he had a batch ready. Hubby also reminded his dad that we're installing a security system with remote cameras and motion sensors. It's something we've wanted to do for a while, and I told FIL that I'd get alerts on my phone, which would make me feel safer when I'm home alone. FIL agreed that it was a great idea and said he'd make sure Locust knows that surprise visits aren't welcome anymore. I made it clear that even if she tried, we'd know about it, and the system records everything. We'd be able to go back and see if she broke the rules. As for the whole social media thing, I decided not to publicly call out Locust. I figured it's better to take the high road. Sure, her friends might think she gave them cherries. Fine. I don't care what they think. But next year, it'll be interesting to watch her squirm when she suddenly has no cherries left to take. That's a problem to deal with. I ended up getting most of my cherries back, frozen, but at least they're cleaned and pitted. I can still make pies with them, so I'm okay with that. Plus, I got some extra goodies I hadn't had the chance to make yet, so that was a nice surprise. And I've negotiated for several buckets of apples with FIL, so my canning supplies won't go to waste this year. I've decided to go VVVLC with Locust from now on, especially during harvest time. I'm also blocking certain family members around harvest time next year, so they won't know what I'm growing. Locust can't be trusted with any garden info, and I'm keeping it that way. Do I fully believe FIL? Kind of. He has his moments where he's okay and moments where he's a bit JN. But he apologized, gave me my things back, and even offered extra stuff to make up for the cherries that were given away. So while it wasn't a complete win, it's still better than a total loss. Once I get those apples, I'll feel like things are mostly even out. We're moving forward with the security system, keeping our information on a need-to-know basis, and I'm not bringing any homemade food to family gatherings for a while. I'm still feeling defensive, and I don't want Locust to know what I'm growing. She doesn't need to know when my cucumbers are ripe, my tomatoes are ready, or when my fruit trees are in full bloom. The best part? I had a bucket set aside that I was going to give her once I finished harvesting, but well, she had to go be a cherry-stealing whore. I hope it was worth destroying the olive branches I offered her over the years. Enjoy your sad, mixed berry jam, Locust. It's the last thing I'm sharing. I'm a kind person, deep down. But mess with my trees, and you'll regret it. Comment one. Might I suggest some fruit tree fungus spray for Christmas? A subtle, get your own damn fruit instead of stealing mine, present, and you don't have to put much thought into it. Glad you got some of your cherries back. I don't grow anything edible to much wildlife in my yard, but I would kill at someone screwed with my roses and lawn. Comment 2. Ephial knew his wife was being devious, but would rather deal with an angry you than an angry her. Also, for the record, she never apologized to anyone. She never admitted any wrongdoing. She did what she wanted and got away without even being confronted. Comment 3. Wow, it's so telling that she outright wasn't home when you came over. She knew she messed up the minute she brought home everything, and is too much of a coward to face the music. Good move on taking the high ground and not blasting her on social media. But the next time she pulls this stunt, I say post the footage and shame away. Story 3. Doesn't matter if it's your birthday. I'm returning it all and buy stuff for your brothers. I have 2 younger half-brothers, 6 and 8 years younger than me. That matters later. This happened on my 11th birthday. My grandma, my dad's stepmom, took me shopping for school clothes as a birthday gift.
She made me try everything on, not in a controlling way, but in a caring, make sure it fits and is appropriate way. She checked that nothing rode up too much, didn't show my bra straps, nothing too revealing, stuff she felt was suitable for school and respectful for her granddaughter. When we were done, she paid for it all without a second thought. No talk of budget or what things cost. Just a simple, happy birthday, sweetheart. I hope you love everything. Then she dropped me off at my mom's. That's when everything changed. At first, my mom acted happy to see me, until she saw the shopping bags. She started going through each item, pulling them out one by one and critiquing them harshly. This shirt is too tight. I can see your bra strap. Who are you trying to impress in these pants? It didn't matter what it was, in her eyes, everything was wrong. She announced we'd be returning it all and getting things she thought were more appropriate. So off we went. I was quietly upset, but I didn't argue. I thought maybe I'd still find something I liked. We returned all the clothes, and I followed her to the girls' section. I picked up a t-shirt, she said no. I picked another, she sighed and said, fine, but that's all you're getting. I tried to say that Grandma had bought me more, that I was allowed more than one shirt. But she snapped, don't argue or you get nothing. Now come on, we need to get stuff for your brothers. 2 weeks later, I went for a sleepover at my grandparents' house. My grandma asked if the other kids liked my new clothes. I told her they hadn't seen them, because I didn't have them anymore. She looked confused and asked what happened. I explained the whole story, as best as an 11-year-old could. She asked if I'd been given the rest of the money to use later. I said no, the whole gift card was gone. I didn't really care about the money, I just remembered how sad I felt. My grandma let it go for the night and tried to make the rest of our time together special. The next morning, when my mom came to pick me up, Grandma asked me to wait in the car so she could talk to her. This next part is what my grandma recently told me, years later. She asked my mom if she had returned the clothes, and why. My mom said, because she looked like a slut in them. My grandma told her she'd personally seen me try on every single thing and none of it was inappropriate. My mom didn't care. I'm the mother, she said. So my grandma dropped that point and asked, okay, so what did you buy her instead? When my grandma found out it was only one shirt, she was shocked. I spent $200 on her. Where's the rest? That's when my mom told her, I spent it on the boys. It wasn't fair for them to get nothing while she got so much. My grandma, now furious, replied, "You had no right. That was for her birthday. The boys have their own family who get them gifts. She barely gets anything. Why does she have to share her birthday?" And my mom responded, "Because she already has two families. She doesn't deserve anything from his, my stepdad's, family too. Besides, you're the only one with money to blow." My grandma tried to reason with her, but my mom wouldn't back down. She ended the conversation with, "If you don't like it, then either buy gifts for the boys too, or stop buying her anything." And that's how, every year after that, my grandma started buying Christmas and birthday gifts for my brothers too, just to keep the peace and make sure I got something. Even my birthday had to be shared. There were so many birthdays ruined like this, or worse. Like the year she scheduled her mom's funeral for my birthday weekend, 6 months after her mother had passed. But that's a more painful story for another day. Comment 1. Is it possible your mom was jealous of you? I had a friend growing up whose mother treated her like shit because she was everything the mom wasn't as a teen: pretty, popular, and thin. Anytime someone would praise my friend on something, her mom would tear her down. Finally, she asked her mom why she hated her so much, because it stands to reason you'd only treat someone like this if you hated them. Her mom replied, "Don't be stupid, I love you." Comment 2, that's not right. Getting rid of your birthday presents because your brothers didn't get anything. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.